You're supposed to come for the experience. Whether you bid on anything or not, you should come for the experience. I need some like those airplane guys.
Oh yeah, with the bright lights. Yeah. 16. In 3 days. In 3 days.
You made mine?
Oh yeah, we got some bits. Yeah, we definitely want to. So we might have. So
it'll be outside. Yes. Yes. Where we were doing the outside services.
Red label? Something in there? Orange.
Satsumas.
Satsumas, they don't use label.
Okay, well, I got your altar is highlighted on YouTube right now before we start.
yes.
Hanukkah doesn't start till sundown.
Right. What I usually do is sometime around this. We want to do something. We want to either remind me I'm scared of it. I don't right. Well, then they bring everything. Carrie?
Misadventure.
No, they read it after the opening reading. You just read the chime. You ring the chime when you get a start.
Good morning, and welcome to the Auburn Unitarian Universalist Fellowship, located on occupied ancestral land of the Muscogee Creek Nation. My name is Terry Rodriguez, and I will be serving as Service Associate this morning. I welcome all of you to our service, especially those who are searching for a spiritual home. Many of us were once too seeking for something larger than ourselves to which we could belong, a sense of rootedness to hold us as we create meaning together. We do that well here, though not perfectly. In this congregation, we strive not for perfection, but for authenticity and connection. Whether this is your first time with us or your 100th time, we hope that you will find here questions that stretch you, people to befriend you, and liberal religious values that challenge you to join us in loving boldly, living justly, and welcoming radically. On behalf of the members of the fellowship, I extend a special welcome to all visitors who are joining us for the first time, and to those of you who still feel like visitors. If you have not already done so, please fill out the visitor book at the front of the church near the greeters, or you could do it online visiting auf.org/visitor. You can also contact our minister, Reverend Chris Rothbauer, at minister@auuf.org with any questions or concerns you may have. As we prepare for our services this morning, please remember to turn your phone and other electronic devices to silent. Let us move into this service willing to be authentic with each other, honest within ourselves, and open to connection in all its forms.
Our opening words this morning are from the Reverend Laura Horton Ludwig. The wheel of the year has turned again. Once more, the Thanksgiving season has arrived. How shall we sing our song of gratitude now? For what shall we give thanks? For this moment, for friends near and far, for our health, for love, for courage and clarity, for strength, for delight, for laughter, for beauty, for the tables round which we gather, for the food we enjoy with friends, seasoned with love and memory, for the sun and moon and stars in the sky, the trees who have seen so much and still stand proud, stretching themselves to the sky, for the bright voices of children, for the wisdom of elders, for actions that bless the world, for hard work that makes a difference, for music and art and celebration, for generosity, for compassion, for endurance, for joy, for hope. For all these things, we give thanks as we come together.
It's not just bread,
We live not by bread
alone,
alone, but with helping one another.
we need to help.
We live not by
Bread
alone, but with helping one another.
It starts with bread.
We live not by
Bread
alone, but with caring for each other.
we need to care.
We live not by
Bread
alone, but with caring for each other.
it's more than bread.
We live not by
Bread
alone, but with loving one another.
we need to
We
love.
live not by
Bread
alone, but with loving one another.
we need to love.
Loving one another.
Come on, let's love.
Loving one another.
We light our chalice this morning with these words from Katie Gelfand. We light our chalice as a symbol of gratitude as we celebrate the abundance of our lives together. In this sanctuary, we harvest bushels of strength for one another and offer our crop with the hands of compassion and generosity. In the authentic, gentle manner of our connections, we cultivate simple sweetness to brighten our spirits. May we be grateful for the ways we nourish and uplift each other, for it is the sharing of this hallowed time together that sustains us. As is our tradition, we also light a candle in solidarity with those families separated at our southern border. Our opening hymn is number 1010 in the teal hymnal. Does everyone have a teal hymnal?
We're not allowed to sing.
We're not saying.
All right.
We're just listening.
We're just listening.
We give thanks
We give thanks
for the precious day.
for this precious day.
It's magic.
Gathered here
Gathered here
and the far away.
and thus far away.
For this time we share.
For this time we share
With love and care.
with love and care.
We give thanks
We give thanks
for this precious day.
for this precious day.
We give thanks
We give thanks
for this precious day.
for this precious day.
Gathered here
Gathered here
and far away.
far away.
For this place we share.
Place we share
With love and care.
love and care.
We give thanks
We give thanks
for this precious day.
for this precious day.
We give thanks
We give thanks
for this precious day.
for this precious day.
Gathered here
Gathered here
far away.
far away.
Still we share.
Still we share
With love and care.
love and care.
We give thanks
We give thanks
for this precious day.
for this precious day.
One of the ways that we proclaim the warmth and caring of our community is by sharing our joys, concerns, and milestones. If you are joining virtually, we invite you to type your joy, concern, or milestone in the YouTube chat box. We invite those in person to, one at a time, drop a pebble in our communal bowl during the music for meditation.
I just wanted to take a moment before we start our joys and concerns this morning to acknowledge that this has been a tough week for many of us. Transgender Day of Remembrance. The official day was yesterday. The Auburn commemoration is tonight, and that is a commemoration of people who were murdered because of being transgender in the past year, which there were close to 400 this year. The other thing, of course, being the verdict in Kenosha, Wisconsin, which I know some of my fellow UUs are up there protesting right now, and it's been weighing heavy on my mind, and I'm sure some of yours as well, that it's yet another sign that our justice system is very broken right now. I'd like to invite us into a moment of silence real quick before we move into spoken joys and concerns. If you have a spoken joy, concern, or milestone that you'd like to come forward and briefly share into our microphone, I'd like to invite you to one at a time come forward at this time.
Hi.
Push button.
Hi. Laura here.
Hey, Laura.
Silent auction maven, I guess.
Yeah.
I have a slight concern that we don't advertise well enough about our auction. Because so far I've had 16 bidders in 3 days. So today is the last day of the silent auction from 2 to 4 p.m. at 1008 Old Mill Road, Auburn, Alabama. It will be the rainbow signs, love is love, Black Lives Matter, and out front to mark the spot. So when you get to the 2 signs, you know you've arrived. So come and bid, last day. It's fun. And I thank all the bidders who've already come and started bidding on stuff. So keep it up, last day. 2 to 4 p.m. Is this good?
Yep.
We have 3 birthdays in our family. Jerry, you want to come up here? I'm just sit there waving in. Jerry turned 75. My daughter turned 50. And I turned 77.
Yay!
So speaking of birthdays, Lachlan had a birthday on the 18th.
Whoa. Lucky, she's 6. How old is she? She's 4.
Hey, I'm Billy. Combined joy and concern. I've got my wisdom teeth scheduled to come out on Tuesday. That's at least one. I haven't figured out the exact number yet. That's for Monday.
You'll still be smart. Wisdom is overrated.
May all the joys, concerns, and milestones of this community, those shared aloud and those held in silence, be received into the care and concern of all present.
Please join me in the spirit of contemplation in whatever way feels right with these words from Naomi King. Every day we experience hunger and yearning for food, for approval, for love, for meaningful work, for any and enough work, for home, for family, for friends, for health, for healing, for hope, for the departed, for the newly arrived, for the green trees, for the clean, cool waters, for shade in the heat of day, and for stars to light in the velvet night. Every day we are invited anew to be thankful for food, for approval, for respect, for love, for meaningful work, for any and enough work, for home, for family, for friends, for health, for healing, for hope, for the departed, for the newly arrived, for the green trees, for the clean, cool waters, for shade in the heat of day, and for stars in the velvet night. Our hearts beating in liberating flight, we soar in gratitude for all the gifts we have this day, in this lifetime of being, and turn again to share with this bounty with all that is. Blessed be.
A religious community is like a river formed from many streams of our lives that meet and merge and flow to the sea. As members and friends of this religious community, we share our time and energy, our creativity, imagination, and vision, our talents, skills, and gifts, and the streams of our individual lives to create a river that is both deep and broad, a river that is made of many streams, sustains life, and refreshes land through which it flows. But the river of this community also depends on our shared financial support that makes real our shared values and vision. We will now receive an offering for the support of this religious community and its work in the world. You are invited to give generously and joyfully as you are willing and able. To make a donation online via PayPal, please visit auf.org/donate. Please indicate in the notes whether your donation is for your pledge or for the offering. If you are writing a check, please make the check payable to AUUF with a note on the memo line about whether it is for the offering or your pledge, and drop it in the offering bowl or mail it to P.O. Box 669, Auburn, Alabama 36831. The offering will now be gratefully received.
When I'm worried and I can't sleep, I count my blessings instead of sheep, and I fall asleep counting my blessings.
When my bankroll is getting small, I think of when I had none at all, and I fall asleep counting my blessings.
I think about a nursery and I picture curly heads.
And one by one I count them and they slumber in their beds.
If you're worried and you can't sleep, just count your blessings instead of sheep, and you fall asleep counting your blessings.
A reading, Who Am I Not to Be Blessed, by Chris Jemerson. In moonlit shadows, at the edge of night-darkened oak trees, I see it. Across sunny pathways, in the buzzing of insects, amongst the flowering forest greenery, I hear it. From the touch of one's loved, the embraces of those gone before me, I feel it. In the poems I love dearly, the songs that speak to my heart, the sculpture that catches my imagination, the discoveries still to be made, I sense it. It is in the fire of distant suns, the cool drip of waters, the slight chill in the breeze, the laughter of children, no matter what their age, old and young, grown and still small. It is the breath of life, the stardust of souls, the magic of remembrance. Who am I not to surrender to it in gratitude? Who am I not to be blessed?
I want to start off today by telling you about one of the times that I was the absolute lowest in my life. It was 2016, and my mother had recently died from stage 4 cancer after being diagnosed just 3 weeks earlier. I was serving a congregation in one of the most isolated parts of the United States, and it was hard. My closest friend was 4.5 hours away. I felt alone in those Michigan snow drifts. And if you've ever been to the Upper Peninsula in February, you know what that means. I signed up to audit a class at my alma mater, Meadville Lombard, just to get away for a little bit, to hopefully see people that I knew. And so I did. I went to I went to Meadville Lombard in Chicago that March, and I audited a class, but I was dreading coming back. I get back to my house really late that night after picking up the dogs and the cat. And I walk in my door and something doesn't seem right. I walk to the back beyond the kitchen. And there in the entryway to my back door were about 24 packages. I thought, what in the world did I do? Did I accidentally sleep on the buy now button on Amazon? But I started opening up the packages. And one after one, they were little tokens, little mementos about how loved I was. I would later find out that these came from my colleagues across the country who were mourning with me because they too knew what it was like to be alone in one of the darkest times in your life. Most of them were just little silly things like sparkly glow sticks or a little coffee mug. But they were touching to my soul. And they were what I needed at that very time to remind me to keep going, to remind me that even in that dark time, I was more than enough. Gratitude can be really hard to muster when you're not feeling like you have much to be grateful for. All of us, every year, I don't care who you are, you have had a problem in your life this year. And if it's severe enough, it could feel like right now you don't have a lot to be grateful for. And even if you manage to have the perfect life this year, politics and a constant stream of negative news, not to mention the continuing COVID-19 crisis, could give you a lot of reasons to think, I just don't want to go on. And indeed, I think a lot of times gratitude is used in our society as in a negative way. I hate that old saying, turn that frown upside down. If you need to frown, you frown. I am not going to tell you not to. It can feel like gaslighting, like you're being told that your feelings aren't valid, like you're being told that how you are in that moment is not enough. And it can feel like a spirit of forced joyousness. When I announced the Blue Christmas service a couple of weeks ago, I heard a few chuckles when I said the word forced joyousness. So I suspect some of you know what I'm talking about. Indeed, it can feel like we want to lay down and not do much of anything. And it gets even worse when they tell you to fake it until you make it, doesn't it? Well, I'm here this morning to tell you from experience that gratitude is not about faking it until you make it. It's not about forced joyousness, and it's not about denying what may be in your life right now. It's just about noticing what's around you and finding a way to believe that you are more than enough. An unknown author once said that gratitude turns what we have into enough. It shifts our attention from what we don't have to what we do have. But it doesn't ask us to deny what we're lacking. In fact, a true sense of gratitude would say that you should attend to what's wrong in your life because you have so much reason to live. It's a salve during tough times. In fact, the novelist and humanist, I might add, Alice Walker, said that thank you is the best prayer that anyone could say. She says, I say that a lot. Thank you expresses extreme gratitude, humility, and understanding. Now, if we see prayer not as asking that specific things be done, but as an expression of our deepest emotions and desires, as Alice Walker did, then gratitude is a practice that can lift up our hearts and restore our spirits, especially during those tough times when it feels like there's not much reason to go on. Like coming home and finding 24 packages on my back stoop. It reminds us that we're part of something greater than ourselves, and we're upheld because each of us, at some point, in the words of the old R&B song, needs somebody to lean on. We each need someone to remind us in our tough times, just as we will hopefully be that salve to someone else in the future. What I would later find out is my colleagues had conspired via Facebook Messenger to coordinate all these packages in a group chat that I was conveniently not a part of. And I think that speaks to part of gratitude as well. Gratitude doesn't have to be this individual thing of writing down what we're thankful for and then maybe one of these days reminding ourselves of it when we feel bored and go back and cringe at what we wrote in our own journals. Someone knows what I'm talking about. Indeed, gratitude can be a communal act. My colleagues saw it as part of their collegiality and their friendship to come together and make sure that I knew how loved I was. In the words of the great doctor and Unitarian Albert Schweitzer, At times, our own light goes out and is rekindled by a spark from another person. Each of us has cause to think with deep gratitude of those who have lighted the flame within us. Yes. I went to a congregation in Louisville where those were the opening chalice lighting words for every single service we did. Because it was a reminder, we don't exist on our own. We need each other, and each of us is the greatest gift, the greatest act of gratitude that we can express. It doesn't just feel good. It helps us build closer bonds and trust with the people around us, according to Sarah Alcoy of the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. You need gratitude to trust the people around you. When we don't feel gratitude, we find ourselves slipping into distrust, slipping into fear, and if we're not careful, I think, slipping into hatred. Like my colleagues, little acts of kindness can help us weather the bad times in our lives. And I know I'm preaching to the choir with so many of you because I'm privy to a lot more emails than generally go out to the whole congregation. And I know what y'all do when one of you has a tough time. But it bears repeating that hearing thank you might just be what a person needs to hear that day to get by. I want to propose this morning that our bread communion can be another way to express gratitude, providing time in community to remind ourselves that we're always surrounded by love. I must confess that it's hard to stand here and preach this homily because I'm smelling that bread right in front of me. None of you had to do that. In fact, if this table was empty, there wouldn't be much that I could say because all of you do so much already. And yet, look at this. Each of you did this, hopefully because you wanted to, hopefully you didn't feel obligated to. But this is an opportunity for us to share our talents and to say thank you to one another. So I want to ask you this morning, what are you thankful for about this community, about your lives, about the world? Is there someone here in this sanctuary right now who you want to say thank you to? I don't know who said it, but I heard I just did. So hopefully we can turn it into spiritual practice, because if a humanist like Alice Walker can see it as a prayer, then maybe that's the type of prayer we need in the world, is more people willing to tell each other how they feel in that moment, to express just how much people mean to them. I believe that gratitude, properly understood, has the potential to transform the world. Author Brene Brown once wrote that I don't have to chase extraordinary moments to find happiness. It's right in front of me if I'm paying attention and practicing gratitude. So the next time you're wondering what you have to be thankful for, remember all this bread in front of you. And think, what is your bread in that moment? This may just be bread, and if it was a meal, you might just see it as another part of the meal. But gratitude turns the ordinary into the extraordinary by reminding us that we're constantly surrounded by blessings. And maybe that's what we need right now, because it was just a month ago that we didn't feel like it was safe enough to be here in our sanctuary on Sunday mornings. It was just a few months ago that we were only doing online service. And quite frankly, hearing our choir and hearing Carter and Carl singing again this morning, that's what I'm going to go away feeling thankful for this morning. Because I am so thankful to be surrounded by a community that has weathered this last year and a half in such extraordinary ways. Let us come to learn that the opportunities for gratitude abound. And let us express our thankfulness to others. And maybe, just maybe, if we can find ways to be grateful in the presence of others, what is might just become more than enough. May it be so. So at AUUF, it's become a tradition that the Sunday before Thanksgiving, we celebrate a bread offering service. Now, this is different from a traditional Christian communion in that rather than remembering the life and death of Jesus, we are celebrating our life in the community, sharing the bounty of our hands, this bread that many of you have brought today, and thankful for the gifts that come from belonging. We express our gratitude for the many hands and hearts that make our community a reality. Today, many of you have brought bread to share. At this time, I would like to offer space for folks who want to come forward if you brought bread and briefly share its meaning to you. I ask briefly only because I want to make sure everyone has an opportunity, and because I'm looking at Laura and Connie in the front row, and I know what that bread must be like being in the front row. Although it's not required, stories can enhance this ritual by allowing us to share the time and place that your bread evokes. So please come forward one at a time if you'd like to share, and share into our microphone.
I have brought some sweet potato biscuits that Chip Bush, my mother-in-law, brought for years to this. Actually, she didn't make these. Her daughter did this morning, but same old family recipe and same old family event.
I brought a fruit cake, and most of you probably were saying, yuck. But I'm bringing it in commemoration of my mother's fruit cakes. There's very few fruit cakes that are fit to eat, I admit. Most of them are pretty good for a doorstop. But she would make her fruit cakes. She would actually bake her fruit cakes in August. And then once a week, she would pour a little bit of grape juice over them and keep them stored in a cooler, dry place, wrapped in wax paper. And by December, when she actually brought them out and started cutting them up and serving them, it was a confection like no other. And I have never encountered a fruitcake quite like that since. I did buy a flaxen fruitcake, which is not my mother's fruitcake, but it is one of the few commercially available fruitcakes that actually is somewhat palatable.
I brought a loaf of store-bought gluten-free bread that was on the discount rack. My thought is, whatever we can bring is great. It doesn't need to be this high bar we gotta clear.
I'm not much of a bread maker. I made a loaf of bread once and I had to use it for a doorstop. It was just a total disaster. But I make really good biscuits, But today I didn't bring bread. I brought satsumas. A friend of mine, they grow down in South Alabama, brought me a whole box full. So this is full of satsumas, and I hope everybody will take one home with you because they're quite delicious.
Well, whenever I make things, I always try to use up things so there's no waste. And so one of the things that I have, and I don't know too much what to do with it, is wheat germ from my mother-in-law. When we cleared out their apartment after she died, I got the wheat germ. So I made a whole wheat germ bread, and my mother-in-law was not really my type of person, but she was a wonderful grandmother, and so it's nice to commemorate her with the bread.
I brought a loaf of Japanese milk bread that my wife is the baker in the family, so she likes that recipe, and we just really wanted to share back with the community after this year with the birth of our second child and the dedication that we had a couple months back, and it's just good to show our gratitude and that we're part of this community and give back to everybody.
Good morning. Over the years, me and Tanesi, we brought a lot of different things, sometimes persimmon bread, sometimes Ethiopian injera. One time the Mexican parents made it right here. I brought some Japanese things. This year I brought the rice balls, although it's not bread, but what it means to the Asian culture. It's very similar to staple of the meal. And this time I remember my deceased grandfather who passed away last August. So I brought the rice balls with the special sauce from that mountain region. They live right at the southern border of the Japanese Alps. But it does contain nuts. I forgot about it until I was just wrapping, so I put the big sign on contain nuts. And I sealed it tightly just in case you're really happy allergics. I'm sorry about that, but you can see triangle. That's very typical in my area, but there is a round. And then I also, just to be fair, on my father's side of the grandfather, I brought Nandina. That came from Auburn House originally, many years ago. But that was in a Japanese garden of my paternal grandfather. He used to sit around. So, good guys.
I brought what has become an old family recipe of apple oats pancakes. And be sure to pour a little bit of syrup on it. I forgot the sugar.
So I didn't bring any bread, but I want to say thank you to Amy Kaiser for helping with all our altars this fall. We've had lots of fun. And here we have, you know, the kitchen, the mess in the kitchen, and our formal dining area. So, just like it is at home.
So I made the blueberry muffins. We picked blueberries back at the beginning of COVID, a year and a half ago. They've been in the freezer ever since.
Oh.
Would you please join me in the responsive reading from the Reverend Michael Tino that you'll find printed in the insert in your order of service? I'll read the non-italicized portions if you'll read the italicized. Seeds scattered on fertile ground are warmed by the sun and fed by the soil. They sprout and grow, producing great fields of grain.
Grain is harvested and ground into flour and shipped across the nation. Flour is mixed with yeast and water and salt and kneaded and allowed to rise and baked to make bread.
The bread is broken in the sacred space of this service and shared in this community of love.
The breaking of bread is an ancient ritual in youth and memory, celebrated in many different traditions in many different ways.
Today, as we approach the American celebration of Thanksgiving, we break bread together to celebrate the abundance of the harvest, the hard work of all who make our lives possible, and the community that gathers here together. Blessed by the connections we have made in this place, let us share in the bread offering. Now, due to COVID, we will not be serving the bread indoors today. That being said, immediately following the service, we'll be transporting the bread outside to be by the coffee, to be as convenient as possible for folks. So please do join us following the service today as we share in the bounty of the community. If you are not staying for coffee hour, please do take some with you. We invite you, and I'll even see if we have some to-go bags if anyone needs one. Our closing hymn is hymn number 67 in the great hymnal. We sing now together.
please join me in extinguishing our chalice? You'll find the words in your order of service. We
Extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Please be our guest today after the service for our coffee hour outside near the Bush Center. This is an opportunity to check in with folks about the service and see how their week has gone. If you've not signed up for our email list, be sure to do so to receive updates and ways to connect. You can find information online at wauf.org/subscribe. Do we have any other announcements?
Just briefly, I hope that you'll be able to make it tonight at 6 o'clock for the Transgender Day of Remembrance Vigil here at AUF. Our Social Justice Committee is one of the sponsoring organizations. Also, be sure to hold the date for December 15th at 6:30 for our Blue Christmas service. And to start getting you primed, remember 2 years ago when I was going to get installed, when I was still a new minister? We're going to try to do that again. So that's going to be this spring, so keep an ear out for updates on that. We're getting a committee together right now. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Camilla, and on December the 6th, I will be 90.
Yay!
And December the 6th, which is a Monday, from 5 to 7, we'll have a little celebration here. And finger foods and a birthday cake, of course, and a little celebration. So I hope everyone who is able, free at the time, in the congregation will be able to join us. And there will be a book out by the coffee table. If you put your name and address down, the phone number down, we would be able to get a better head count, and I would appreciate it. And there will also be an opportunity if you want to help us, because we're out of practice at having events here. We would appreciate a helping hand if, again, you have it to give, have the time to give. Thank you so much.
I can see you now. That, oh, there goes Peter. He's going to harangue us about the auction. Everything you need to know about the auction is at auf.org/auction. You can sign up to help us with some mundane tasks that need doing. You can, even at this late date, if you have a real hot item, you can maybe sneak it in. And the food table still needs donations of food for the evening. It's all there, auuf.org/auction.
Hello, this is Noriga again. Diana's Pantry, for those of you who are newer to the fellowship, we have a supplemental assistance program for those who are in need, especially for the food and household items. And we have updated, meaning that the Congregation Support Committee, we updated our contact information form, and that's basically serves as a preference so that we know what that person needs the most. So we have updated, and I thought Missy and have left the folder there, but I don't see it, so I'm going to go find it. And then again, little miscommunication in the partnership is also great. I'm grateful for something. So I'm going to find it, but I'm going to leave it there. It's a blue folder, and then we are trying to do it annually so that we can see what is updated there. So if you know someone or if you are in need, please let us know. Diana's country team, me and Amy Kaiser. And another announcement, very quick. There, some of you might have received the email for Project A. And that's the program, that's the project that I and Angie Hodges are working on. That's going to be revealed on December 5th. But if you are not on the list or don't know about Project A, please see me directly. Thank you.
Another Thanksgiving announcement. Teen RE is again supporting holiday helping boxes. We're at the food bank. And I'll be sending out a list of things that food bank would like donated. And I know you're saying, wait, isn't it more economical to donate money and they can get more food? The answer to that is yes. But there are times when people come in late, after hours, and they need food over the weekend, and they can't go shopping. And so many times, with our food boxes being donated, families have been able to get that food that they need. So it's definitely a need in the community, and you'll be hearing something more the next few weeks, or the next few days actually. And also following up on December 6th with Camilla's 90th birthday, it will be our son Jacob's 30th birthday.
Two quick announcements and one other comment, but I gotta get to this first. I found this coming into the sanctuary this morning. If anybody knows who this is, just a minute, my arm's short. Jamaica Bless. If anybody knows who this belongs to. A key. The second thing is choir this week is going to be Tuesday instead of Thursday because I don't know why the choir decided they didn't want to come on Thursday night. I don't get it. The third thing is, and I apologize for this, it should have been a concern. The spotlights, there's a little toggle switch at the bottom of them. People keep just putting them dim. That's using up electricity, folks. Turn the toggle switch off. And if you're not sure what I'm talking about, then don't touch it. Thank you.
Hey, I want to announce two things. One is I'm looking for subleasers too, starting in January. If you know anyone who's looking for a place to live and wants to be a part of community, please reach out to me or pass them my phone number. And two is in January, on Sunday the 23rd, we're putting on our first Queer Kids Closet, where we take donations for queer kids and have a safe space where they can try them on with adults who can give them fashion advice and just have a safe place for them to explore their gender identity. So we'll be taking donations of clothing for all ages, all genders, and if you have some or are interested, please get in touch with me. Thanks.
Please join us now for our song benediction. Go forth into the world in peace, be of good courage, hold fast thy riches from the Lord. Go forth into the world in peace, all will be rejoicing in the power of the Spirit. Go in peace.
Our benediction is from Charles A. Howe. May we go forth from this place thankful for the life that sustains and renews us, and open to the grace that surrounds and surprises us. May we go forth from this place with openness and with thanksgiving. Amen. Blessed be, and go in peace.